Welcome back to Editors Roundtable on CNBC-TV18. Now, the Japanese market has been on a tear. Of course, Japan has also entered into a recession, so it's very interesting what's happening over there. But Prashant has walked up to the wall to tell you what this means, or what this could mean for our markets. Prashant, over to you.
Well, thanks for that, Sonia. You know, I'm going to modify or paraphrase one of the most famous lines in Indian movie history, right? The dialogue from Sholay, "So jao nahi to gabbar aa jayega." In that same sense, for the longest time, I mean, you know, investors never said it, but that was the feeling. Don't do too much exuberance, don't do too much craziness, otherwise look at what happened with Japan. That is essentially the example that Japanese market used to serve for the last 20 years that I've looked at markets. And that has changed now. This is how it has changed. This is 34 years of the Japanese Nikkei 225. And after 34 years, we finally made a high, right? We finally made a high this week. So that's quite significant. Now, let me just quickly tell you what has happened. This is the returns since, the 1989, essentially, since 1990, early 1990. The last time the Nikkei was at a high. Of course, we've only gotten back to that level, so it's up only 1%. Look at the others, 1,640% for the S&P. These are all dollar returns, by the way. Nifty is up 1,600%. The Shanghai is up 2,000%. So while all other markets were basically going boom, boom, you had the Nikkei, which essentially was doing nothing. It was sideways, right? Just to put this rally in context, so the 1989 big boom and bust, that happened after a sharp 200% bull run for the Nikkei after the Plaza Accord was signed in 1985. The Plaza Accord, of course, was when all these big countries came together and decided to devalue the dollar. And then there was a 200% run on the Nikkei, which peaked out in 89. This particular run began in October of 2022, and the Nikkei since then is up about 50% or so. So you may say we are back at records and we've done a lot, but we're only up about 50%, and we've gotten back to those levels once again. It's a story of boom and bust, really, right? The Japanese market. So I'm just going to quickly tell you what happened. Basically, there was a gigantic asset bubble in the late 1980s in Japan. It was largely led by property, commercial property, residential property, and of course equities as well. The bubble finally burst in 1990. It basically damaged banks, balance sheets, corporates cut back capacity. They cut back capacity, they cut back employment, consumer confidence fell. And of course, consumers' inflation expectations about how much wage increases they can expect, that went into the negative, and that stayed in the negative for the next 20 years or so. And that is the example that many it's a scary example, but it actually has happened over the last 30 years or so. What has changed since late 2022? Japan finally, the Japanese central bank has been trying to target an inflation level of 2% without success for the last 20 years. But it finally found some success. It started the process of getting out of deflation, corporate capex renewed. There was improved and a lot of focus on corporate governance as well over the last 1.5 years. And so foreign investors have made a beeline back there. Balance sheet reforms, etc., have also happened. Warren Buffett famously, I think about 15 years ago, said, and he was asked by a student in one of the talks that he was giving, that would you invest in Japan? And Warren Buffett at that point responded, the Japanese stock market is a fantastic market, but without fantastic companies. That perhaps at the margin is starting to change a little bit, as this chart shows you. And it also talks to the bull market that we're in, that even a 30-year laggard is back at new highs. Back to you.
All right. Thanks a lot for that, Prashant. Well, let's thank our guest, Vinay, as well for joining in. And with that, it's a wrap. Thanks for watching. The news comes up and continues through the course of the day, but we'll be back bright and early on Monday morning.